to my channel. If you are new, thank you for joining, and I hope you enjoy this tutorial. And if you haven't already, please hit that like button if you like this video and subscribe, and keep watching. So we'll be working on leaves 4, 5, 6, and 7. Number 4 is right here, and it shows you the bead coloring and the stitch. We are looking at the red-brown thread and the outline stitch. So to find the leaf, look for the orange color felt and cut it out. This is the red-brown color that we'll be using to do the outline stitch. So this is the beginning of the outline stitch, and I will show you a few stitches to start with, and once you get the hang of it, it actually goes by really quickly, as long as you keep your stitches the same length. I decided to speed it up here because it gets pretty repetitive, so you'll be seeing a lot of sped up parts just to save some time but still give you a good visual on what it should look like. For these leaves, I usually tie a knot at the end just to make it cleaner, and I double knot. I always double knot, even though felt is pretty sturdy with their knots. It's just a personal preference to double knot all my stitches because I have had stitches fall out because I didn't knot it correctly. So I always double knot my stitches and try to hide the tail, and then snip the ends and start over again. So I decided to show you a little bit more footage on my stitching for the leaves because the last tutorial I didn't show this part, I just showed you the stem of it and not the actual branching out. I always double check to make sure I'm coming back up in a different spot and not the exact same spot so I don't lose that stitch. It hasn't happened before, but I'm sure it would have several years ago if I didn't have any instruction. So just a little tip for you. Make sure you come up in a different spot. There will be times when you're in the middle of a stitch and you run out of thread. So I'm going to show you how to knot where you need to knot and then continue on. Okay, so we have our new thread, and I will show you where I'm going to pick up. So I kind of pick up in the middle of that last stitch that I made to create that T shape that I showed you earlier when we first start, and keep stitching as normal. And it's just easy as that. So just make sure that you're placing your needle in between, like kind of halfway in between the last stitch that you made, and come back up. There's the T. And for the sequin, we're going to use orange, which is funny because in the Christmas stockings the heart is red instead of orange, so I kind of was like, wait, there's no red in this. So because we're using orange sequins, we're going to be using orange thread. It doesn't say that in the instructions, but I'm just, giving you a tip because it makes sense to have orange thread with your orange sequins. And we're going to be using our beading needle. And I will demonstrate a few stitches on how to bead and sequin your pieces. They're actually pretty simple, and once you get the rhythm going, it's kind of fun. I like beading and sequining my pieces. So the sequin is first, and then the bead. And the sequins are kind of shaped like a little saucer. So one side is kind of flat and the other side's kind of dipped in. And you want to make sure that the bead is sitting on the dipped in side. Depending on the sequin, normally the shinier side is the side that needs to be facing up. So depending on the color too, but when in doubt, if it's cupped up, if the lips of the sequin are facing upward, like a saucer, then that's the right direction. Okay, so this second bead, I accidentally went through the same exact point, so my bead popped off. So if you're double knotting these like I am, make sure that you're coming up in a different spot. Surprisingly, it happens to me quite a bit. If I get into a rhythm and I'm not really thinking about it, then yeah, sometimes it'll happen. But if you're double knotting like I am, make sure that you're coming up in a little bit of a different spot so that you don't have your beads pop off. And I've lost beads because of that, so just a nice tip for you. And I've noticed that some of these leaves, especially the pointing ones, tend to be a little harder to maneuver the thread because they keep getting caught. So that's a little bit of a challenge, especially while filming, but I managed to do it okay. This is our finished leaf, and we will now be appliquing that onto the wreath. And it goes right here. We're going to use a couple of pins to keep it in place while we sew it on. Having straight pins for this project is a lifesaver. If you're doing this project alongside with me, make sure you have some straight pins at your disposal because that'll make it a lot easier to applique these pieces onto your wreath. And I like the little colored heads on top. And I'll link down in the description box below for these straight pins. We are using the applique stitch here, as it's also known as the whip stitch. Here is the finished leaf onto the wreath. There's the back of it. And we're going to do the next one. Leaf number 5 is located right over leaf number 4, which is what we just did. And leaf number 5 is the green leaf. Cut that out. And we're going to start working on that. We'll be using the dark green thread, and we will be using the light green sequins. As you can see, we are noticing a pattern here. Most, if not all, of the leaves are going to have the exact same strategy with the outline stitch and the sequins and beads. So I'm going to try to not bore you. But I will show you each leaf individually because each individual leaf is different. So I completed the outline stitch off camera just to save some time. If you want a more detail-oriented tutorial on the outline stitch, please skip to the beginning of this video. We are using light green thread on the light green sequin to match, and we're always going to match sequin color with sequin thread. It just looks a lot better and it looks more finished. Here is the finished leaf. Looks so pretty with the sequins. That's what the back looks like. And we're going to applique that onto the wreath. And it's positioned here, so take a couple of straight pins and make sure that it's nice and secure before you start appliquing, because it will move around when you start appliquing the pieces. Before I finish the applique, I want to show you kind of where I did not sew. And this was a choice. You could either sew it completely on, or you can leave the overlap of the leaves kind of hanging on their own. I'm probably going to tack that down. So that's what the leaf we just did, and we're going to move on to leaf number 6. And it uses the red-brown thread again, and the orange sequins. You will find leaf number 6 on the orange felt, and I like this one because it's kind of different. It's not pointy. And I went ahead and finished it because it's literally wash, rinse, and repeat for all these leaves. And it's nice to have variety though. I like this one. It's different. So we'll be putting it right here where it says number 6. Make sure to tack it down nice and easy. My leaf is pinned down and ready to go. And there are sections of the leaf that I will not be appliquing. So here's the finished leaf completely appliqued, and you can see that some of the leaves I left kind of open when they're overlapping the other leaves on the bottom, and it gives it a nice dimension. That's what the back looks like. Those are the 4 leaves that we have so far. Leaf number 7 is right here, and it's kind of a, I don't know what you call it, like a gold color. So it's kind of a gold leaf. And cut it out and do the exact same thing that you did with the other leaves. Grab the thread color that matches that leaf and the stitch that you'll be doing, which is the outline stitch. And with the other leaves also, you're going to be sequining and beading this one too. And then appliquing it. So we're going to be using gold for the beads and the sequins because that's what matches. There's the sequins. By the time you're done with this wreath, you're going to be a master at the outline stitch and a master at beading your pieces, because a lot of these leaves are the exact same process, which isn't a bad thing. You know, it's good to level up your stitching, especially hand stitching. Place your completed leaf in its designated spot and use the picture as a reference guide, and tack it down with a couple of straight pins so it doesn't move. And here is the completed leaf, appliqued and finished.
And in my next tutorial, guess what? We'll be doing more leaves. Who'da thunk? So please join me in my next tutorial for that. And if you like this video, please click the like button down below and give me a comment. I'd love to hear from you and see what you thought of the video, and any questions that you have, please leave it down in the comments. And please look in the description box for any materials that I use. And I'm in a tree. Yeah, I climbed up here. Actually, this is the first time I've climbed up this tree, and it's actually kind of cool. My kids are always up here, and I was like, I wonder if I can get good lighting up here. It actually looks pretty good. Anyway, so question of the day: what kind of pet do you have? If you don't have a pet, what kind of pet would you have? And for me, we have a dog. His name is Copper, and he is a King Charles Cocker Spaniel. He's super sweet, and we just got a betta fish, so that's fun. So those are my two pets. Whatever pets that you either have or would have if you could have a pet, please leave in the comment section down below. I hope to see you guys next time. Bye. And my legs are falling asleep. Okay, wait, let me try a different angle.